1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello there, and welcome to the program. Welcome to, March. God, it's cold out. Jeez. Anyway, it's actually June, however, the 8th, and it's a Wednesday, and I'm glad to be here with you. History has been made, although it all seems underwhelming, and I want to know why. Why is that? The first woman to be nominated for the presidency by a major party, and women aren't dancing in the streets. It is in no way seems like, well, it is in no way like what it was with Barack Obama breaking through the racial barrier. So I've really been ferreting around in my puzzlement, in my brain, and trying to understand why we don't feel the same way about this. What is it? The fact that I'm asking shows you I haven't come up with an answer. Never in my lifetime did I think I would see a black president. I doubt if I thought I'd see a woman. Both have happened in the last 8 years. Well, she hasn't won yet. I don't understand why we don't, and a lot of women especially seem just totally indifferent. What is that? Do we feel we already, big deal, we already arrived? Well, we haven't, because we know we haven't. All you have to do is be out in the world to know that. So a woman, one election away from the presidency of the United States, and it's greeted by a yawn. If that. There's just absolutely no reaction at all. And I must say, that's true of me. I felt elation with Barack Obama. But I'm not black. Here's a woman. I am a woman. I feel, I don't know. No one's going to help me, I know. I don't get it. Maybe because she's been with us so long. Maybe because she's been so much a part of our out there and seemingly in these positions of power for so long. But I don't know. The doggedness of the getting up off the mat and just keep coming. She's really remarkable in that way. But I think people don't find that attractive in a woman. because it must mean she's extremely ambitious. And after all, in a woman, and I think even women are struggling with all of the internal crap that they've had poured into their heads. I don't know. Young women are not necessarily thrilled by her. They're thrilled by their old grandpa. I don't quite understand. And I mean the job that she has in pleasing all of us is an impossible one, because there's no template at all for doing what she has done and for running as the first potential woman president. I mean, somehow she's got to be tough enough that you can see her as commander-in-chief. And I don't think that's a problem, frankly. But then she's expected to be feminine, is expected to be warm, and all the things that you want to have a drink with her and all that stuff. All of it, none of it necessarily fits together. The template is for a man. It ain't for a woman. But I still don't understand why women aren't feeling more proud. I remember after Obama secured the nomination, I was riding the bus, and I was looking at all the black people on the bus and thinking, geez, you guys, you must just be, God, you must just be, wow. I wouldn't, I'm riding the bus today, I'm not looking at women and thinking that. So what is it? Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, she says this: the ambiguity about Hillary is outside of her. She's saying it doesn't have anything really to do with her. The ambiguity is coming from all of us, from our own perspectives, and because we can't quite fit her in to anything we've seen before. Is that it? Even an old crusty feminist like me? Is that it? I think my ambivalence has more to do with the two of them again, and knowing how the Republicans handle Clinton's in the White House, and as much as they handled Obama in the White House, and I just am so weary of it all. But I find it amazing that this historic moment has occurred, and you could hear a pin drop. I don't know. Celine's looking at me like, oh, I don't know. Nobody knows. Fascinating. Well, Allison has written something that dovetails with what I want to talk about a little bit today. Allison wrote that Hillary Clinton calling Trump temperamentally unfit is right on the money. And it is. That's it. I mean, you could say a lot of other things, but that sort of crystallizes it in a, there it is, 2 words, temperamentally unfit, clearly. And then Allison reminds me that last month she told me that she didn't think Trump really wanted to be president. And that his followers are now feeling a little like Dorothy in the Land of Oz. The fact that he doubled down on the criticism of the judge and then even included a Muslim shouldn't be able to judge him, all this stuff he's been up to, and his attempt, clearly, somebody had an intervention because his scripted, teleprompted little speech he gave last night trying to, well, he never walks much of anything back, but anyway, Allison says, I bet that somehow in the next few weeks, Trump's going to have a health issue that'll make him incapable of serving, or why he believes. Okay, so, Allison, this is now haunting my my dreams, making them into nightmares. As you know, I think I have said what you initially said. I didn't think he necessarily wanted it either, but my God, the fact that he got it, his ego took it from there. But I don't know how his ego handles all the incoming as he is scrutinized like any candidate for president is. And I really do think, now, I agree with you, I don't know that he's going to pull himself out, or if the Republicans are going to refuse, in fact, to nominate him, despite the fact that he overwhelmingly won he won their nomination. But increasingly, you're hearing people talk about the fact, Republicans are just, they're terrified. They don't know what to do. Whoa, I feel so sorry for them. But I'm beginning to think they're going to figure out a way. If he doesn't, they're going to figure out a way. There's too much time left and too much time for him to show that he is not going to be a good candidate in a general election, and that they're going down to a Goldwater type defeat with him. And knowing that before the actual nomination occurs gives them a window to throw him out. Now that, of course, brings its own problems, because that will enrage a whole huge part of their base, which means they'd probably go down anyway. But they might figure that it's better to go down without him dragging everybody else down. I would not be surprised at all if that happens. And just to show that I'm not making this up out of thin air, last paragraph of a Wall Street Journal editorial today. if Mr. Trump doesn't start to act like a political leader and his poll numbers collapse between now and the convention, he may start to hear rumblings that delegates are looking for someone else to nominate. As traumatic as that would be, the Republican desire to avoid a landslide defeat that cost them the House and the Senate might be stronger. All right, so now you have the Wall Street Journal just saying, I know we're thinking this, I know everybody's thinking this, they're putting it out there now. That would make this ridiculous, extraordinary, never seen the likes of it, presidential campaign even more astonishing. That someone who outright won the nomination would not be given it. I mean, if that ain't undemocratic, I don't know what is. If he hands down wins it and the party refuses to give it to him, wow. But I can see it. I think I can see that easier than I can see him withdrawing. But I don't know. I don't know. Jeez. I mean, I've lived through some interesting political times. Watergate and the 60s in general. But this, and even the Gore-Bush Supreme Court deciding that one. I mean, we've been through some strange stuff. And some scary stuff. And somehow we're still standing. But I don't think it's a stretch to say that the Republican Party is in true jeopardy of being blown to pieces. Whether they let Trump be their standard bearer or whether they deny him, this party is not going to survive in many respects, I think. And the failure of so many of its leaders to show themselves to be men of character, honorable men who perceive their country's need as superior to their party's need. They don't seem to be in much supply. And a lot of people I thought might stand up to this are not. And so this is very, I wonder why we're not happy about Hillary, and then I wonder why. People must be just so sour in general about the whole damn thing that there's no joy to be found, no matter what. In the popular, I don't know. I'm babbling. So anyway, Tom Friedman has an idea for the Republicans. It ain't much of one, but it's. He says if a party could declare moral bankruptcy, the Republican Party would be in Chapter 11. There's no doubt about that. I don't know how a Republican looks themselves in the mirror in the morning, and I really don't anymore. And he goes on to say the party needs to really just shut itself down and start over. Because clearly the party they have at this point and what they've managed to create is ugly. It's just flat out ugly. And it ain't working, is it? So he says some of these guys they gotta pull away. They've gotta start. Somebody's gotta do the work and start a new Republican Party. He, of course, thinks it should be like, a party that actually pulls away from the NRA and is for reasonable gun control. A party that believes that you do work in government, that you, he wants to see a reemergence of what used to be the Republican Party in my lifetime. A Republican Party of Susan Collins. She's like the only one left who sort of harkens back to the kind of Republicans that existed in huge numbers through much of my life. And he points out all the unbelievable things that their putative nominee has said. And then he says, I'll read you a paragraph or two. Despite that, despite all these Trump statements, policies, if you can even call them that, despite all that, all top GOP leaders say they will still support Donald Trump. So House Speaker Paul Ryan, I'm now babbling myself. So House Speaker Paul Ryan can say that Donald Trump, talking about the judge, is flat out textbook definition of racism, and still he supports him. How do those two things go together? Ryan's doing it because he figures that at least with a Republican in the White House, he'll be able to, finagle his agenda through. And here's back to Friedman, what he says to that. Hey, Mr. Speaker, Trump will pay even less attention to you and your agenda if he's president. And as Senator Lindsey Graham rightly put it, there has to be a time, this is Graham yesterday, when the love of country will trump hatred of Hillary. But it ain't that time for almost every Republican office holder there is. Back to Friedman. A2, John McCain, you did not break under torture from the North Vietnamese, but your hunger for re-election is so great that you don't dare raise your voice against Trump? Think of that. Trump, who denigrated his heroism. And Friedman says, I hope you lose. You deserve to. And Marco Rubio, you called Trump a con man. He insulted your very being, and you still endorse him? Friedman says, good riddance to you. Chris Christie, have you not an ounce of self-respect? You're serving as the valet to a man who claimed falsely that on 9/11 in Jersey City, home to many Arab Americans, that, quote, thousands and thousands of people were cheering as that building was coming down. You're the governor of the state he maligned. Christie backing a man who told a bald-face and continues to lie about residents of your own state so that maybe, just maybe, I could be vice president. Contemptible. So then Friedman says, think of if you guys would just disown him. Start over. They're incapable of it because you're seeing they got no character. They got no leadership, really. They got no vision other than power. And that's not a vision. Power. Here's how Friedman sees a new Republican Party. A center-right party, liberated from all the Trump birthers, the Sarah Palins, the Grover Norquists, the Sean Hannitys, the Rush Limbaughs, the gun lobby, the oil lobby, a party that redefines a principled conservatism. Oh, Friedman, dream on, baby. This is such a pivotal moment, he writes. The world we shaped after World War II is going wobbly. This is a time for America to be at its best, defending its best values, which are now under assault in so many places, like the Republican Party, I added. Our values, pluralism, immigration, democracy, diversity, the rule of law, the virtue of open societies. There's no way a party headed by Donald Trump can pretend to value any of those things. All right, some of you have given thought to my concerns. I mean, not my concerns, just my observation. But nobody's seeing Hillary's ascension as a historic moment worthy of celebration. Hi, Lynn, says Gigi. You hit the nail on the head. I did? The problem is that Hillary happens to be female, and the presidency is an archetype of maleness. Count me as one who is celebrating today. The first woman nominated for the presidency? Heck yeah, I am celebrating, says Gigi. But I understand that our society is not nearly as progressive as we would like to think. And too many people just can't fathom a female president. It's disheartening. I wonder why I went on all those marches in Washington. Did we really accomplish anything? Oh, come on, Gigi. Yeah. Hillary Clinton is probably going to be the next president. That's an accomplishment. I had a career where I got to spout off on important issues. That wouldn't have happened if we hadn't marched. As Gigi says, and on the Trump side, I'm afraid you may be right. He'll withdraw, and who knows who will take his place. It's all frightening. I don't know if he'll withdraw. They'll kick him out. I don't know. I don't know. Of course, I want him desperately to be their nominee because I see, I was afraid before, I see what an extraordinary train wreck that's going to be. Denise writes, I'm happy that Hillary has the nomination, but I get so much horrible blowback from people when I say I'm a supporter. I'm constantly amazed how much people hate her. Someone on Facebook said, simply, that she was a pig in response to a post about her. People, women, generally don't want to deal with this kind of ugliness. While I'm inclined to just quietly vote for her, I'm going to fight that urge. Yes, do. Put a bumper sticker on my car or a sign in my Westmoreland County yard and face the ugly comments. She's had to face, God knows, much worse over the years, and it's the least I or any woman can do for a candidate that I truly believe is best qualified for the office. Well said, Denise. Yeah. Ladies? Come on. Yeah. Think of what she's endured. I mean, I can no more imagine how she is still standing. I can't. She's remarkable in that regard. And of course people don't fall in love with her. Somebody, somewhere in the New York Times today, I saw a reporter called, just the sense of her and how she offers herself to us as gritty pragmatism, which is pretty much what it is. She wants the job. She's not great at running for it. She's saying, give me that job, man, I'll be good. I've been practicing, working toward getting this job. I don't know. I mean, obviously, extraordinarily ambitious woman. But it's not just ambition because she's done her homework in readying herself. She wants to be a great president, not just a president. Robert writes, I agree with Allison. Trump is not going to be able to lose, especially to a woman. He'll never make it until November. He may even quit on election night rather than admit to losing to a woman. Can you imagine him admitting defeat? Well, the system was rigged, the media turned on him, the dishonest, corrupt media, I don't know. Did this happen to anyone else? Jean writes, at 10:18 you were interrupted by your music, and then the show streamed back to your beginning talking about Hillary. Why would that happen live? Anybody else have that? Please, if you did, let me know. Lynn at pghcitypaper.com or 412-316-3381. Roger writes, I find it funny that Republicans are hoping that now, what? Pick any moment over this presidential election cycle. Oh, that now is when Trump settles down and starts acting presidential. Yeah, like what would they base that hope on? And that he quits making up facts and contradicting himself in a profession where political opponents call each other hypocrites when they find someone doing something different from what they said 20 years ago. Trump contradicts himself and says opposite things depending on the time of day and what reporter and crowd he finds himself in front of. And as you know, we have sentences where he's contradicting himself before he got to the end of the sentence. By the way, Roger writes, it's not only time to end the Electoral College. God, I so agree. But this primary process, I agree, is ridiculous. California's at the end of the primaries. Get rid of the delegate system. And what the hell does a caucus do? From what I understand, it's just a bunch of people arguing and persuading delegates, isn't it? Not very democratic. If I have that wrong, please send me another straight on what happens at a caucus. Well, at a caucus, yeah. The thing about caucuses that's so undemocratic is they're held on at a specific time. They require someone to go and sit for hours. Doesn't require them to just go and vote. Requires them to sit for hours and listen to people, say why they should want this person, why they should want that. And then, they have like a vote at the people that are in that room. This is nuts. It's nuts. Because a lot of people can't. What about if you work at night when they hold a caucus? What about if which means you can't vote. It doesn't allow for the most people to have a say. But what we've learned is that primaries are about finding a candidate for a party. And it's the party that sets these rules. It's their party. It's not, you might belong to it, but it's their party. They run it. That's what we found out. It's not a pure democratic process. Super delegates for the Democrats, a lot of caucuses for the Republicans, the divvying up of delegates. Even if someone's a clear winner, they still give the loser a bunch of... it depends, and every state's different. It's nuts. It's nuts. You're right. Absolutely insane. But only the parties can reform. And I suspect they like the control. If you think the Republican Party will make itself more democratic after seeing what its base gave them as their standard bearer, I got news for you. If anything, they'll want to do away with primaries altogether and go back to a smoke-filled room where they'll decide who's going to carry the banner. Ansel writes, my crystal ball says Trump will not come out of that convention with the nomination. Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell had some harsh words for Trump over the last 48 hours. Lindsey Graham called on Republicans to unendorse Trump. Senator Mark, what's his name? You put Trump down, but you need Trump. I forget his name. Kirk. Republican has pulled his endorsement. Well, let me tell you, he's pulled his endorsement because he's in a very tight race with Tammy Duckworth, I believe. I don't think it's a sign of his great character. It's a sign that he's scared to death, that he's not going to be that he needs to pull himself away from Trump if he's going to still have his seat. But Ansel writes, I think these actions are simply precursors to the inevitable removal of Trump from his throne. Any Republican who thinks they can elect Trump and then change or mold him to the platform is living in a dream world. Absolutely. P.S. I think it's funny that Trump so often mentions Reagan in his stump speeches. I don't think Reagan would recognize this party. Nor would Reagan support Donald Trump. Absolutely true. Joe Ellen says, I'm with Denise. And what did Denise say? You think I can remember? You're with Denise? What did Denise say? Oh, she said, that she gets a lot of ugliness about Hillary, but that she's going to go all out and take some heat if she has to get Hillary into the White House again. Chuck writes, Lynn, why is Hillary's win so underwhelming? This may be a breakthrough for the United States, but it's not new to the world. You got Angela Merkel, Margaret Thatcher, Golda Meir, Indira Gandhi, Dilma Rousseff. You got a million females, not a million, but you do have women. And so, it's not like we haven't seen a woman, but it's a breakthrough for us. Chuck writes also, I think from the time of the Bill Clinton administration until this very day, we have all expected this of her. Her win is not surprising to any of us, and therefore we're not feeling any degree of elation. Is that it? That it was all a foregone conclusion? But that doesn't negate the historic nature of it. Lastly, I think that Trump's surreal rise to the top of the GOP ticket is so overwhelming that the story of Hillary Clinton breaking the glass ceiling just doesn't compare. Well, that might be true, too. Caller, hello.
Hello, Lynn.
Yes.
Hey, Lynn, in my opinion, women are jealous of her and men fear her. She's a strong leader, and they don't know what to do with her. Additionally, I think we've been seeing her on the scene for how many years? 20 years? So we kind of knew this was inevitable. So when somebody gets something that we knew was going to happen eventually, it's not that climatic, in my opinion.
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it.
Because who's your fiercest critics? Women.
Hers?
Yours or anybody's. Women's.
Oh, women in power, yes. The ugliest stuff comes at us from other women.
Exactly. I mean, you know, from your as being a talk show host all these years.
Yeah.
Will give you they're more direct. Women are indirect. Men are direct. You know, they're complex. Men are simple. They're simple and direct. Women are complex and indirect.
Yeah.
It's hard to know where women are coming from.
I agree.
And it's hard. That's the way. That's my opinion.
Yeah. No. Well, yeah.
In my opinion, her biggest time when you saw how tough she was when she went through the hearing on Benghazi.
Oh
my God! I mean, most men would freak out. I mean, can you imagine Trump having to sit there for 5 minutes or 11 minutes? Not less. I don't know.
I think it was 12 hours.
To those people, and the Republicans had all their barbs out. And at the end, they said, "What did you learn from this?" They asked the guy who was responsible, and he said, "We really didn't learn anything." So they attacked.
Well, what they learned was how steely, how tough, and how smart and unflappable she is.
And one more thing, when she was Secretary of State, the Republicans loved her. I mean, she's more hawkish. She's more tougher she'll be more tougher than Obama.
I'm a little afraid of that. I think sometimes when women do secure a formerly all-male kind of position, that they outmale the male to show that, you think women are, like Margaret Thatcher.
Yes, exactly. I was thinking of the Iron Lady. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
exactly.
And
exactly.
So I'm all for. Again, I'm kind of scared to put a bumper sticker under my car too, because I did it one time with Obama, and I went to a business meeting. Oh my God, never again will I do this, because people come at me with everything they had, and I was supposed to be teaching, as a teacher or as a consultant, and I certainly don't need that kind of. No,
you figure it's bad for business. Yeah, I mean, in that regard.
I had people fighting and screaming, so I said, never again will I put myself in a position where I have to people and.
I'm just afraid of my car getting keyed.
I think women, if they put this Hillary on there, you're going to have people do things to you. And it's Republicans doing it to you, and of course nobody knows anything. They don't know what happened.
When I had my radio gig at 1360, I had I don't know what bumper sticker I had. Would that have been Obama? Maybe. I got keyed in that parking lot.
People don't. It's terrible. I say the main thing that drives a lot of people, and I see it every day, is jealousy. Men are jealous of men if they're perceived for successful. Women, if they're prettier than you, then they're going to say, they're going to denigrate you and talk behind your back and say, well, she must. If they get promoted, they're going to say she must have slept her way to the top, and it's just hard. I think women have a much more road to hoe than men do, and especially a strong woman. People fear them. They're just totally scared of strong women.
I know. Well, God knows she is that. She's just a strong human being.
You can't take it away from her, and she's sharp as a whip. I mean, and plus she stuck beside her man when he had his problems, which Bill was a great leader, but he had his foibles. You know, I wish he wouldn't that caused that at the end with the Monica thing, because we spent a whole year on that kind of crap. Now we find out again, and I'll get off the air because I could keep talking. But Kenneth Starr, you know, with his Baylor presidency, he had to quit because it just came back.
I know.
Hurt
Again.
He tried to protect the players and tried to protect the image or the brand.
Yep.
At the sake of the women who were abused. So
we're all people in glass houses, and what goes around comes around, Mr. Starr. Hey, thank you for your call. I appreciated it.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you. Bye. There was this in the New York Times today from the guy who managed Al Gore's '92 presidential campaign. And he said, here's what he saw in the South in '92. Women, he said, in the South particularly dislike Hillary Clinton. And he said it was because he felt she was the first working mother to serve as a first lady, and the first, and so far the only, to have an office in the West Wing. And they hated her because she appeared to be something of an affront to their sense of who they were. And that's somewhat like what the caller was saying, that women often don't like a strong woman who is going into forbidding territory, because it makes them feel smaller or something. It makes them feel that maybe their life choices were not good enough. I mean, whether or not God. No, she has. Women should get behind her. She has been there, taken the crap that many of us have to take at certain points in our professional lives. But man, it has been incessant with her. And that she manages to keep her cool. I mean, it's had an impact on her, all of what she's been through. And some of that impact is not good, in that it has made her extremely suspicious. And if people say that they find her untrustworthy, well, I got news for you. She finds all of us untrustworthy. I don't think she trusts anybody beyond her immediate circle because of how she has been under a state of siege for so much of her public life. So, Hillary, wow. I'm going to change the subject. Oh, one more thing here we have. Carmen, I think the reason the Republican leadership is still supporting Trump is that they're trying to protect the House and Senate and the other down ballot races. Yeah, I mean, I think that's I agree. I think that's the calculation that they have made. But as I'm saying, and Tom Friedman said, this is a pivotal and historic moment. And the same old of protecting your power is not the highest order right now. The highest order is your country. And you need to think about what's best for the country. And what's best, of course, for the country is not to allow Donald Trump anywhere near the White House. Yeah, Alma had the program stopped in the middle, too. Okay. Just saying. Not everybody, but somebody's. Hey, we're number one. 40% plus of women in the United States are obese. That's not even overweight. That's beyond overweight. Are obese. We passed up the men, ladies. They're only 35%. And we've so far surpassed everyone else in the globe because, according to the World Health Organization, worldwide, only 15% of women are obese, and we're 40 plus. I don't know if I'm obese, but I'm overweight. And this overweight crap really ballooned, no pun intended, in the 80s. So it's the 80s, 90s, and now the aughts, in which women have just, and men, have just eaten ourselves into this state. Because until the early 80s, only about 1 in 6 adults were obese. We're at 1 in 4 now. That's a huge. So what happened? I would argue probably 80s, 90s, that what happened was, I don't know. What was it? Processed foods. Less exercise. Processed foods. I think the stress of our lives has a lot to do with it. I think the stress and the fact that so many people are juggling so many things, so they're not eating well. That's where you go through a drive-through. You're starving to death. You're this, you're that. You don't have time to. I think it's our insane lifestyle more than anything, more than gluttony. The fact that, well, I don't know, but I'm there with you. And they say this, obesity continues to be, about 57% of black women are obese. Wow. That's almost 2/3. 47% of Hispanic women are obese. 38% of white women are obese. And 12% of Asian women are obese. And you know what? Those numbers dovetail with my eyeballing of don't they? I mean, yeah. So there's a cultural element. Speaking of eating, I loved this. Did you see this? This is good. There's a restaurant, and they call it a gastropub. I don't like that word. What does that mean? A gastropub. What the hell is that? Go to a pub and get gas. That's what it sounds like. It doesn't sound good. But it's the James Street, and that just used to be the James Street Tavern? But now it's called the James Street Gastropub and Speakeasy? Why? James Street Tavern. Huh? Branding. Well, I think they had a brand. What, gastropub? Yuck. But I do love what they're doing here. The owner has decided he's going to try something. On Wednesday nights, you can get a 20% discount on everything you... I don't know if it's drinks too, but it probably is. Hey, I don't know. When the waitress comes over to your table, everyone at the table hands the waitress their cell phone. If you go, yes, hands-free, at dinner on a Wednesday, James Street will give you a 20% discount. It's called Hands Free Night. And it's because they say that, He was sitting at the bar the other day, the owner, and he happened just to look around, and he sees what we always see now. People having dinner, people supposedly having drinks, and they're all doing this. It's pathetic. It really is awful. And I remember when I first started riding the bus, I thought, what is going on? Everybody was doing that, and I thought, why don't they just look at the other people and what's going on? But of course, I was new to the bus, so that was something that I just found fascinating. The bus environment, the parts of Pittsburgh the bus went through, like on the busway that you never see. And so I just thought, this is, whoa, that's interesting. You know, it was like a kid on their first train ride. And that lasted for months and months and months. And then I became one of them. Yeah. Where there's no being with the people that you're sharing space with. It's crazy. You're with them, but you're not. Joellen says, I get the magnetic stickers for my car so I can take them off when I park. Or you're going to a certain meeting, you don't want to, upset somebody. I started that with Obama. I still got the finger, mostly from men in pickup trucks, but I just wave and laugh at them. I think my age may protect me from outright violence. I sure hope so. And the other thing on the gastro thing is, what is it? Oh, the House of Representatives in Harrisburg actually roused itself to do something and overwhelmingly passed a bill that gets, I mean, it's unbelievable, that would allow you to, at the grocery store or even at the convenience store, to walk out the door with up to 4 bottles of wine. Gee whiz! Now the president, the governor hasn't signed it yet, but oh my God, up to 4. I wonder how they arrived at that number. Jeez, this is so friggin' pathetic. Oh my God. Oh my God. We may have a guest coming in tomorrow, but it's all very up in the air. If we do, the subject will be Doc Ellis, the great Pittsburgh Pirate pitcher who pitched a no-hitter while he was tripping on acid. Now, is he in the Hall of Fame for that alone? I mean, he should be. Is he? He should be. I believe he went on to be a drug and alcohol counselor. I think. Didn't he? If you've ever taken acid, the idea of doing what he did is so mind-blowing. It's incredible. Or not. I mean, it could be that he that he was superhuman because of the trip. That he saw the strike zone like he'd never seen. I mean, I don't know. But I have tripped. And I know that, things can get very strange, obviously. But it would not be out of the question, I guess, to use that altered state to actually focus. But I can no more believe that he pulled that off. What a amazing story. And then on Friday we're going to talk about, I guess this must be the druggy part of the week. Friday we're talking about marijuana, right? With some guys who are very knowledgeable about such stuff. One more email from Barbara. My old friends and I are your age. We are wondering why we are now wearing extra large so often. I believe if you looked at my tag, it would be an XL. Yeah. Many of us are in your range of overweight. Is it hormones? A friend bought Spanx for her daughter's wedding in extra large, and of course we wonder why they are sized that way. Well, I have Spanx in extra large. Why? Wait, I mean, if you're extra large, all the more reason why it's like sticking yourself in a sausage casing. It is the most disgusting. She's 5'8" and weighs in the 150 range. Well, that's not XL. That's thin. Jesus, that's thin. I'd kill for that. And who would wear a small? Oh, I get the point. Who would wear a small in Spanx? Because that person doesn't need. You know what? When I was in high school, I wore a girdle, to fancy things. I'd wear one of those, like the girdle my mother wore. This is in the early 60s. And these things were like cast iron, unbelievable, down to the knee, and then you'd roll them up a little bit, and there'd be the little clippy things for your nylons. And I would wear that. There wasn't any fat on me at all. At all. I don't know. And real quick, Roger on Doc Ellis. He hit lots of batters during that no-hitter. Oh, did he? Okay, that's it for us. So tomorrow, I don't know if we're talking Doc Ellis or not, because that hasn't been firmed up. And if we're not, we'll fend for ourselves, okay? Stay warm.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.